midway through March almost. But yeah, I hope you all had a good one, and let's get straight into the gold breakdown across all time frames. So here, this is my daily chart. As you know, we've had that all-time high at the end of Jan at 5602, followed by the flash crash down into 4402. We know that was aggressive, but what happened next is what matters, because price didn't collapse, it decided to rebuild. We had higher lows forming, and step by step off of that 4402 base, we've been grinding back up ever since, right? As you can see now, we are kind of around this 5171 area where we closed on Friday. The structure of high lows has been respected, and as long as that remains the case, the macro bias is bullish. I'm dropping to the H4 now. Yeah, so after the 4402 here, as discussed last week, we built back through. We had 466, 4655, all these numbers. I mean, this is why I like, as I always mention, the pivot indicator. This just prints out price nicely for me so I can see where we're going. But yeah, so we've had that push up into what I was targeting a couple of weeks ago, 5119. And then we had like a slight pullback, which is to be expected when price makes a new high. Even, this is, relatively higher than here, to be honest. Yeah, you expect a pullback to be expected. Yep, so we've had price just pushing back up ever since. And we had a rally. So I think at the end of last week, I was holding some buys. Even though I had closed out, I just left a few. And on Friday last week, we did open with a massive gap up. And we then had that rally all the way up to 5419. And as you can see, then came a sell-off, which I'm sure a lot of people were expecting, even myself. We dropped all the way back down to 4996. It's a significant sweep below the 5090 area, which is where I said I'd be very skeptical of holding buys if price decided to drop below there, which it did. However, what I will say is we haven't had, so we had a firm close below 5090, right? But ever since then, we have been climbing back up. So I was very skeptical of taking sells. There definitely were some sells in here, right? And priced, if we don't ignore the wicks, because as I say, the wicks are information, right? So we had price close at 5080-ish. And then we had price close at 5050 after that. And since then, we've had price going back up. So for me, even though we did have that low, we've been building back up ever since, right? So if I drop to the hour chart, again, it's a little bit more clearer here. So for me, the structure looks, this looks constructive. The recovery looks constructive, sorry, all these words. And I will show you where, I'll go down to the 15-minute chart shortly and show you where I took an entry after we had all of this play out. So if I go to the 15-minute chart here, if we are on the M15, right, so obviously last few days here, exactly, like since Tuesday, after we had that drop to 4996 on Tuesday, to be expected, price has been ranging after a big move. That's normally what happens, and it's been a bit messy, a bit choppy, probably not the best environment to trade in. I mean, like I say, you can always catch some nice moves in here, but price isn't really breaking any highs, it's not really breaking any lows, it's just, in between, just bouncing. We had a close, as I mentioned, the 50-50 area, but after that, price has been pushing back up. So for me, what I wanted to see was if we could, so it kind of pulled back to this area, which is kind of mid-range again, and then it stalled around here and pushed all the way up above the previous high, which is on the M15. So I was sort of here waiting for price to pull back, which it did, and then on Friday evening I managed to get an entry somewhere around here. So I'm still holding the buys because I believe in them. It's not to say that, you know, price can do whatever it wants, as we know, right? Last week I was like, oh, there's no way. I think if you follow me on Instagram, I even posted, I got an alert at 5:50:90 and I was like, oh, okay, wasn't expecting that. But you have to be prepared. Anything can happen in these markets. We don't control them. So yeah, I took buys here because I felt comfortable. Price was making higher lows, and I'm happy to hold them and see what happens. Yeah, so for me, that's kind of, you know, that was my, I didn't really trade a lot last week because after I saw price selling off, I wanted to see confirmation that, you know, after we had that drop, I mean, to be honest, there was definitely an opportunity for me to sell somewhere around here, which I was paying attention to, but I was preoccupied. There's lots going on in my life right now, so I wanted to, you know, my bias was bullish, and what I'm also being mindful of is not marrying the bias because, as we know, price can do whatever it wants, right? And it was not respecting bullish structure anymore. So when we had that close below 50.90, which is what I mentioned last week, if I go back here, it's even clearer. Yeah, we had the close below, way below 50.90, and then we had a nice pullback, and that pullback was lower than the previous highs, which are here. So these were here, these were nice, decent sales here, to be honest. So yeah, but anyway, we move. I caught the buys, which I'm happy with, and we'll just see what happens. But you know, going into this week, if we break below any of these prices here, then again, I'll be reassessing. I'll definitely be out of the position by then too. So yeah, I do have something though that I would like to share with you guys, especially because you guys have been on this journey with me, and yeah, I always feel like, yeah, I just want to give back. So essentially what I have is an official checklist that I use to go, I sort of go through this before entering any trades. This is what I do. So I'm going to show my checklist on screen here. Hope you can see it. I'm going to share this. It's still kind of in beta mode at the moment, but once it's ready, I will share it with you all. Yeah, hopefully it's something that's helpful. But for me, this is what I do. It stops me. In fact, what it does is it forces me to slow down, you know, and I'd have to kind of, all my trades need to pass through this check first before I enter them. So I've got, you know, obviously this is my instrument, but you could put anything if you wanted to do GBP, USD, just to kind of, you know, and if you were saying, okay, cool, I'm actually looking at sales, and you change it to this, then it's like these are the checkpoints that you need to, for me, especially if you're a higher time frame trader or somebody that uses a higher time frame, sorry, to place your trade. So yeah, simple. Price broke a swing low on a higher time frame. Yep. Pulled back to the, you know, area of the swing, down to the M15 because that's where my entries are taken, and then where's the stop above the swing high. And then obviously there are some non-negotiables here. Are you chasing price? If you are, this is no trade. You tired and frustrated? No trade. No clear trigger, as in you haven't really got any of these up here. Again, it's no trade. And it really is just that simple. And each time you can just reset it for your next trade. So yeah, hopefully it'll be ready at some point, maybe this week even, because I have been refining it here. So as I said, you can just change it to whatever instrument you prefer to trade. So yeah, guys, hopefully, like I said, it'll be ready this week at some point. But yes, it's just a simple checklist. Maybe you have something that you use already. You know, maybe, yeah, maybe not. But I just thought this would be something that might be useful to you on this trading journey that we are all on. So yeah, soon you'll be able to get access. Like I said, I'll share, keep an eye out on my socials. I'll definitely be looking to share that with you soon. But yeah, this just really has helped me to just not overtrade and just just slow down. And I think that's one of the things that we do when we see price going a certain way. We think, oh my gosh, no, it's leaving me. And more often than not, it's not. And to be honest with you, like if I go back to my trade here, if I didn't get a pullback, then there's no trade. And it took me a very long time to realize that I don't need to chase the price. I need to wait for price to come back to me. And if it doesn't, then that's it. I missed that trade for this session or this day or whatever it is. But more often than not, a pullback will come, and that is essentially part of my edge. That's something that I need to, something that I follow, and something that I need to remind myself to follow. It's something that I follow now, but I'm saying something that I needed a reminder, especially in those early days, So yeah, anyway, I'll catch you during the week with any live updates if there are any. But again, if this was helpful, please like, comment, subscribe. It genuinely really helps me out, and I need to know whether these are worth making. So yeah, as I say, you can find me on Instagram, Threads, TikTok, and even X. I'm not really on there a lot, but I'm on there. The same handle at YehnTrades, and the Telegram link, as always, will be in the description. So yeah, guys, have a good week, trade safe, and I'll catch you all very soon.